Well, hello and welcome to the Shallow Proclamation. My name is Paul, and as always, I'm joined by Dancing
Thomas.
Thomas.
Sorry.
Thomas is enjoying some funky dissonant music there.
Also known as the Doctor Who theme.
We're just about to watch episode 3 of Spearhead from Space. And yeah, we're getting into it, enjoying it, aren't we? Robert Holmes, who also wrote The Space Pirates. Who'd have thought it?
I know. But I feel we didn't give the Space Pirates a fair shake, Paul.
Well, I'm not going to back and shaking it again.
Because it had a promising start, and then we were in recons, and it was very unclear what was going on. But I reckon it might be better than we thought. Maybe not. But yeah, he's certainly upped his game, hasn't he?
Definitely, definitely.
Ooh, the fingers fell down.
We didn't get that in the last one, did we?
No.
No, of course, we saw that in Rose.
Yeah.
So look at the way it moves. It's so quick.
Yeah, that makes it scarier, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, that was very human there, kind of looking around the corner.
Exactly.
That's an interesting kind of comment on the modern era when it tries to redo monsters from the classic era. Is they're like, oh, well, we assume that in the classic era, if they could have made it look more robotic, they would have done. So therefore, that's what we're going to try and do, and we'll make it better. But actually, maybe it was because of the limitation that it had to be played by a human, and therefore it couldn't look too robotic. But actually, weirdly, it worked better.
Even in Rose, they're just people in outfits, though, aren't they?
They are, aren't they? So maybe they just made them more rigid or something.
Yeah, they are much more rigid. Yeah.
But it's like the Cybermen, there have been some good modern Cybermen, but I think some of the classic ones we've seen have been better. The original ones are really scary.
Yeah. But no, I think these Autons are much more scary than the ones we see in the modern era.
Yeah.
Nightmare fuel, those ones. That's the way they look.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what their faces remind me of. I don't mean this to sound awful, but they look almost like there's like a melted aspect to them.
Yeah.
Almost like burnt, you know, like that kind of look. I think that gives it a kind of quite a scary look.
Yeah.
As a kind of a villain.
Why did you say you don't say that to sound awful?
Well, because some people because I was going to say like they look like their faces have been burnt.
Right.
There's a whole thing, isn't there, about how a kind of go-to for a villain in certain things is have them have a disfigurement in some way.
Right. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. That's a good point. He is a dapper chap, isn't he?
Yeah, very much so. That's very much a good description of the Third Doctor.
Is he the dapperest Doctor?
Oh yeah, definitely.
The TARDIS is dimensionally transcendental.
I
see. Yes. But it would take far too long to try and explain that to you.
Is that the first time it's described in that way, dimensionally transcendental?
I think it might be.
I mean, we know it's bigger on the inside, but I can't think if it's actually been described in that way before this.
Transcendental, does that mean it will give you a filling?
It's a dentist who started out as a different gender.
This is so believable, isn't it? The couple.
Yeah.
Oh, be quiet, Bobby.
That's definitely just a man making that noise. Surely.
You think so?
Oh.
That is horrifying, isn't it?
See what I mean about the sort of melted face?
Yeah. That would have given me nightmares if I'd seen this in the 70s.
How creepy the whole thing is.
Oh, they do have guns out in the sticks, don't they?
Sort of Michael Myers-esque, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, and do you know what the Michael Myers mask is?
William Shatner.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like sort of painted white, isn't it? And eyebrows removed, so it makes it look really eerie.
Yeah. See, the outfit is very Michael Myers as well, isn't it? Like the boiler suit. It's not just the movement of the character and sort of that slow lumbering towards you there.
Yeah, that's a very good reference, actually. Yeah. The first Halloween was 1978, I believe. So this is
Okay,
8 years
this
before.
is 1970, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like Michael Myers gets shot and barely reacts.
I think we're going to call this reaction video Doctor Who predicted Halloween. Yeah, that is literally like the end of Halloween, isn't it? When he shoots him out of the window and then he keeps going. Oh no, it's Sam Loomis who shoots him, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice. That was creepy.
Destroy. Total destruction.
Oh. Yeah, this is pretty horrific, isn't it?
Yeah. It's quite graphic for sort of tea time.
Yeah.
I want a cordon round that plastics factory. There you go, sir. That creature, robot or whatever it was, obviously came from there.
I think as well because it's shot on film, there's a sort of grittiness to it that makes it feel more real.
Someone should just take the Auton clips from this episode and put the Halloween music to it.
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy, just seeing it through that glass. Doppelganger. What did you make of that?
Wow, I mean, just very good again. I just thought a moment ago, I was like, oh, I've not written much down, but that's again because I was enjoying it. I was just kind of caught up in watching it really, and not much else. I mean, yeah, I think for me the highlight is the bits we were talking about with the Auton itself, just the way it moves, the creepy nature of it, and that sort of Michael Myers-esque thing that we'd mentioned.
Yeah.
It really does make it feel scary. You know, if you came into your house and that was there, that's genuinely terrifying, isn't it? Even as an adult, that's a very creepy image.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a good ending there as well. A good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
General or Major Scobie being duplicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I'd echo all of that. And the quite chilling moment where you saw the Auton being commanded to kill, and then total destruction, and then it fires again. And
oh yeah, Ransom. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just quite bleak in a way, isn't it? Does feel like the show has sort of taken a turn into the more the slightly scarier territory, which I'm always a fan of in Doctor Who. I think the episode, it's often the scary episodes that are the ones that really stay with you, because a lot of the time they turn out to be good stories as well. But yeah, I think if I'd seen this as a kid, I would have been pretty terrified by it. Something about the fast moving but very composed plastic figures. And their facial expressions just don't change. There's something very unnerving about that.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that the eyes are not built. The eyes aren't built into the mask, are they? They're kind of set back slightly, so there's still that plastic bit, but it's almost like there's an eye socket, and then there's a little gap, and then there's like something else there, like another bit of plastic, but there's a gap, which makes it creepy to look at as well. But no, I agree about the kind of destruction, you know, Ransom's death scene and the shooting with the gun there. The effect of the weapon with the sort of smoke is quite a big plume of smoke that erupts from the body.
Yeah.
Which again just gives you this sense of quite, you know, the damage it does. And normally, like if you consider a lot of what we've seen so far in Doctor Who. I mean, you think back to literally a story ago in the War Games, they're shooting people with ray guns, and you're just getting this kind of concentric circles appearing on the screen, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a completely different ball game. So
Yeah. It's quite a shift for it's sort of like less than a year, isn't it?
Well, someone had said in the comments that they were thinking of cancelling the show at the end of Troughton and rounding the whole thing off because it had been running for sort of 6 years, and viewing figures had dropped. So episode 8, I think, I don't know if we talked about this in the thing, I'm not sure we did, but episode 8 of the War Games, where we kind of begin to be introduced, we don't see the Time Lords, but we get mention of them and stuff, is like the lowest episode to that point in terms of ratings. Like,
oh, really?
Wow. So this feels like they've basically tried to completely revitalize the show. It's a real change of direction, isn't it? But we said that, didn't we? As War Games finished, companions have gone, the Doctor's gone. We're getting a whole change around. It's, I mean, a lot of the behind the scenes crew and writers are obviously still about. So it's not, but the nearest thing to it in the modern era, I suppose, is, when Tennant left and Smith came in, and we had new companions. We had it there, but then we had new showrunners and basically everything as well. So, I suppose we had the same with Chibnall, didn't we?
That's true. Yeah. There's a value, I think, in the show's history of having a kind of clean slate at points. But it's also nice that they, as you said earlier on in one of the previous episodes, it's nice that they had the Brigadier back in this one and Unit, so something tangible ties it very much to the Troughton era. So like we're still in the same universe, guys, but
very much
very different main cast.
And in the whole concept, well, I mean, again, this is another thing, we talked about this in the War Games and said how they'd introduced this idea of the Time Lords and the Doctor being a Time Lord, and is it they're just completely changing what the show's about, and is that, can you do that? And I'd said how I didn't feel it was a big thing. Some people would argue that what the show does at this point is it takes away the central thing, that it's no longer an adventure in time and space, right? Because the Doctor is completely sort of grounded. But, for me, that's always been part of what the show was. That's been part of the show's history. Whereas I suppose if you were watching it in real time, it'd be interesting to know. I'm sure people in the comments will let us know. If you're watching it in real time, how did you feel about this? That the show was no longer going to be doing adventures in space and time.
Yeah.
Because that was the sort of central premise of it and its main conceit.
Yeah. There's a sense, isn't there, of him kind of chomping at the bit, and I think we as the audience are as well. It actually feels a little bit, you almost get a little bit claustrophobic from, he can't go anywhere. And I think it's going to be a satisfying moment. I don't know how they're going to get the TARDIS going again, but I know that it will get going again at some point. It might have to be another couple of hundred episodes, but I don't know.
It doesn't get going again until Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah, it's literally all in this little village. The rest of the classic era.
Can you imagine?
But yeah, I mean, it's a classic story thing, isn't it? Where you sort of you compromise the hero in some way, or give them some ailment or remove one of their abilities. It's like Thor losing his hammer for most of the film, and then there's that very satisfying moment where he gets it back, and it's like, yes, now we're cooking on gas again. So how will the Doctor get his TARDIS back? That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so it's doing a lot of things, isn't it, this story? Even if it's not explicit, some of it isn't explicitly just about this story itself, but just the world it's creating now for Doctor Who.
Yeah,
it's very different. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Do subscribe if you want to stay in the loop with this. And do join our Discord server in the link in the description box below. If you want to continue some of these conversations, people share all sorts of extra bits of trivia and things they've been working on. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Take care.